contemplating the end of the crisis, envision what the world will look like in its aftermath, how the pandemic will change the way we live and work, and what we need to do to adjust to the new normal of the post-COVID-19 world. Today, I will present 3 arguments to you, and without the benefit of a PPT. So you'll all have to listen. First, I argue that the new normal of the post-COVID world will see major changes in our professional arenas. I see 3 vectors of professional change: the accelerated importance and use of information technology, unconventional ways of working, including freelancing and working from home, and increased inter-organizational and intersectoral collaborations and networks. Second, I argue that these changes will demand personal transformations from each of us, of which again 3 are cardinal: embracing uncertainty and change, becoming a continuous learner, and practicing personal and collective social responsibility. My third and final argument is that capacity building is the single enabler and tool available to us to navigate the change and face the changes that we are going to see in the professional and personal worlds. And in order to leverage capacity building, we need to harness youth who are outside the formal higher education network. Not people like you, people other than you. Focus on the front line and the backroom workers who are vital to decision making and implementation, and design training programs so as to train teams and not individuals. These in essence are my 3 arguments. You got the answers. If that is enough, the rest is just the elaboration. Why has COVID-19 thrust this imperative upon us? Does a crisis by itself ensure reform? Every great crisis to mankind has seen a period of confusion, followed quickly by rapid counter-responses. In challenging times, we question accepted realities, devise quick solutions, often outside the usual compass, some of which may be effective enough to become normal quotidian practice. This was demonstrated in the world wars, as well as in pandemics such as the Spanish flu. History also suggests that global economy is remodeled in significant ways after a crisis like COVID-19, spurring the adoption of new strategies and business models. The SARS outbreak in 2003 is seen as a causal factor in the adoption of online shopping by China, which resulted in Alibaba's rise. The balance of payments crisis in India in 1991 led to the paradigm shift of liberalization, globalization, and privatization. The economic and humanitarian crisis unleashed by COVID-19 is thus an opportunity to reform sectors such as skilling, healthcare, the unorganized sector, and education, which are the underpinnings of our political economy. What changes will we see in the post-COVID professional world? We are witnessing several shifts that are taking place in the world of work. The multi-sectoral acceleration of information technology, the advent freelancing and work from home modes, and the need for lateral, cross-sectoral and inter-organizational collaboration are three such seminal changes. What does the advent of IT mean? The CEO of IBM, speaking in an online forum, said, and I quote him, "History would look back on this as the moment when the digital transformation of business and society suddenly accelerated. COVID-19 has increased digitalization in all spheres of our professional world, whether it is education, healthcare, governance or entertainment. As schools closed in many parts of the world, e-learning and e-delivery of education saw a smart breakthrough. States like Karnataka launched the Makkalavani or Children's Voice for disseminating educative and entertaining content to children. Will the change roll back once the pandemic is over? Even while keeping teachers integral to the teaching or education process, there will be a new flexibility and agility with curated content through platforms like Coursera and entirely new learning experiences through artificial intelligence, virtual intelligence and mixed experience tools. Healthcare is seeing similar changes. Digital efforts in Wuhan to contain the crisis via smartphone trackers demonstrated a powerful new public health tool. Kerala Police launched Project Eagle Eye to use drones for surveillance during the lockdown, using technology as a tool to complement manual surveillance in topography that is inaccessible, such as pocket roads and open fields where jeeps cannot traverse. In the entertainment industry, Netflix and Amazon Prime are seeing a big boost. Netflix viewer numbers swelled, especially in the initial years, as lockdowns across countries kept people at home. Even the requirements of daily activities need digital navigation. As people have been forced physically apart, they turn to video calls on WhatsApp. All these demonstrate the growing acceptance of technology to help us feel connected. As people become more comfortable with technology and service providers upgrade their infrastructures, creating a better pipeline and more streamlined and user-friendly interfaces, technology becomes easier to live with day to day. Then, COVID-19 has propelled us to experiment with work from home on an unprecedented scale. As the CEO of Wipro put it, and I quote him, "Work from home will define a new normal for a lot of industries and will create new opportunities for us to be able to do more work globally." WFH has gone beyond our quotidian processes and scaled new innovative heights. India demonstrated this in the Facebook GeoDeal and the Google GeoDeal. The US $5.7 billion investment by Facebook in Reliance Industries' Geo platforms set a new standard in remote negotiation with extensive M&A dialogue happening online, even including due diligence and agreement negotiations. This is one of the biggest deals that has taken place when there is a nationwide lockdown in both India and the US, the two countries where the parties to the deal were located. Transactions of this magnitude, especially transnational ones, usually involve considerable travel and face-to-face meetings and facilities by higher management and their financial and legal advisors. This time, however, everything happened online. The second shift that we may see is the emergence of the gig economy. Each of us has to get used to becoming a freelancer. Remote hiring of technical talent will become the norm. Even before COVID-19, we were seeing permanent employers such as governments and universities cutting down on hiring and increasingly outsourcing even their core functions. While this may create job insecurity, it is not necessarily a bad thing or even a new one. Take a surgeon, for example. She is attached to one hospital, but she consults in several other hospitals. Some surgeons even consult online and earn remuneration from multiple organizations. So, a talented and skilled individual, like so many of you here, can peddle her expertise across organizations and be paid by all of them. Remote hiring of talent, as I said, will become the norm, with corporate positions opened up to skilled candidates everywhere, prioritizing skills over pedigree and geography. All of which is good news for both the economy and the talent pool. It makes talent pools more diverse and businesses and economies stronger. The third change which I see in the professional world is the growth of cooperation and collaboration. Gig economy and pervasive freelancing will bring in cooperation and coordination across sectoral silos. As freelancing becomes more prevalent, teams will be self-created rather than be curated by leaders, and will become more interdependent, more collaborative, more agile and more flexible. See COVID-19. To face the challenge that the virus posed to us, the pharmaceutical giants GlaxoSmithKline and Sanofi forgot their commercial rivalry to join hands to build a vaccine, pooling their relative strengths of adjuvant technology and a virus antigen, while Google and Apple teamed up to evolve standards for contact tracing. I used to work in the first year of the pandemic in the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports. And my own department and the NSS Karnataka, National Social Service Scheme Karnataka, which I headed, teamed up with the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, NIMANS, and the National Health Mission to provide curated training on COVID-19 response to NSS volunteers and officers, who in turn disseminated this content to communities. All this demands that we build up networks and skills, build each other up professionally, with no room for envy or backbiting or jealousy. Now let us move to my second argument, the post-COVID individual. What personal transformation is required? First, embrace change and uncertainty. Heraclitus said very long ago that the only thing that is constant is change. Pragmatism demands that we survive the present moment while building ourselves to thrive in a very different future. In a topsy-turvy world, how does one stay sane and calm? Questions are everywhere, especially for the young. What will the future hold? How will life change? What will the new normal be? Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Yet, change is inevitable, and COVID-19 has only accelerated the pace of change and made it palpable. In such a dynamic and unpredictable situation, those who accept uncertainty and are willing to take swift, decisive and risky action will hold the advantage. As lockdowns were announced and non-essential businesses were instructed to close, business owners were suddenly faced with the tough choice of either stopping operations completely or finding new ways to provide their service. Many restaurants closed their doors but kept their kitchens open, tying up with delivery services like Swiggy and Zomato. Barbers whose salons closed began to offer home haircut services, and hence The first personal transformation that the post-COVID challenge demands from us is the realization that change is the only constant and that things may change any moment. This calls upon us to embrace uncertainty, develop equanimity, mental balance, emotional intelligence, and agility of thought and action. The second personal transformation that we have to effect within ourselves is to get into the continuous learning mode. Become a continuous learner. Continuous learning opens our minds and changes our attitudes. Knowledge is now at our fingertips. To function effectively in this rapidly changing world of technology, we need to learn new things to remain valuable. Those not making use of this opportunity will stagnate. Don't be left behind. Ensure you remain up to date, keep up with industry trends, and adapt your skill sets. Resources for continued learning are many. Read magazines and online articles, analyze and critique case studies, subscribe to publications relevant to your area of interest, connect with global networks using social media, Skype or email, attend training courses and webinars, try MOOCs like edX and Coursera, listen to podcasts and watch documentaries. The days when our generation went through this neat progression of study, work, retire, that will be replaced by a career of constant personal reinvention and learning with doing. Thus, the second transformation required from all of us is continuous learning. It is vital to prepare yourself for the coming future. My third and most important, at least in my eyes, self-transformation is the practice of personal and collective social responsibility. What do I mean by that? We are all familiar with CSR or corporate social responsibility. This is not enough. CSR is still someone else's job. It is up to each of us to adopt personal social responsibility. We each have a duty to each other. Personal social responsibility is easier to practice, say by teaching a child or helping a destitute person in need. But what COVID-19 has brought home to us is a larger collective social responsibility. The health of our communities depends on our individual actions. Thus, it calls and emphasizes our responsibility to the people around us. There are many ways also in which the pandemic expanded the opportunities for exercising this collective social responsibility. We suddenly and sharply became aware of a joined-up world. While emphasizing physical distancing, paradoxically, COVID-19 reminded us how interconnected our world is really. The virus spread from Wuhan, China to almost every corner of the globe in just 3 months. Such a public health crisis is a demonstration of how connected we are to the rest of the world. What happens overseas or in a neighboring state can directly and immediately impact lives in our country, state or home. As we collectively navigate the COVID-19 public health crisis, and I hope to God it comes to an end soon, there are ways in which we can practice collective social responsibility. It is a general consensus of public health experts that the only way to counter the spread of COVID-19 is for all of us to follow the necessary discipline and protocols. Wash our hands, keep our distance, stay at home during lockdowns. The health of our family, community and economy depends on us setting aside our personal wants and needs for the good of the whole community. Even in complying with lockdowns, while it may feel that we were sheltering in one place to benefit ourselves, paradoxically we were doing it for the common good. Social distancing causes a disconnection that can be disorienting. While we need to maintain physical distance to stop the spread of COVID-19, we need social connection more than ever. And that's why I love that line with which she began, that I give you all a hug. We all needed that hug. COVID-19 is therefore an opportunity to practice collective social responsibility, helping us to overcome our prejudices, reinforce our ethics and values, extend our reach, find ways of reaching out to involve, develop curiosity and compassion. Now I come to my third argument. How do we bridge these professional changes which are taking place and the personal transformations that it requires from each of us? COVID-19 has thrown up challenges in our professional world, the importance of technology, growth of freelancing and work from home, and the increase of lateral and cross-sectoral collaboration. This calls for personal transformation from each of us by embracing uncertainty and change, becoming continuous learners and practicing collective social responsibility. As I see it, capacity building is the tool which enables these transformations. As we emerge out of the pandemic, it is to be expected that governments and corporates invest not just in better cities, health or technology, but most of all in education and capacity building. What aspects of capacity building should we as individuals and as nations focus on? First, leadership. Every big crisis is a test of leadership. But COVID-19 was not really about political influence or corporate power. It is about the everyday leadership that we as individuals and citizens demonstrated in our daily lives. Therefore, our capacity building should focus as much on qualities and character traits as on specializations. Traits such as calmness and equanimity, skills such as communication and problem solving, the attributes of a strong work ethic and a compassionate and pragmatic worldview. And of course, the leadership that is able to lead with persuasion, not dictate, encourages participation, not hierarchy, is purpose-driven, not power-driven. These should form part of skill development as much as technical skills. Second, the front line and the back room become important. I'll tell you why. In an increasing